I realise that the content of this video may seem rather offensive or upsetting to some, or radical or stupid. So I ask that you just listen to it with an open mind. It's my perception, my take on something that I have been experiencing recently. Us humans don't like to think that we're out of control. Most of what we do is to seek to understand things and to make sense of them, or to control them in some way. And the one thing throughout the history of mankind, the millennia that we have been around, that we have not been able to prevent, is the death of our bodies. And whatever you believe happens to anything that may remain other than our bodies, that's not really that relevant to this topic. Though perhaps it is, in the sense that I think we fear ceasing to exist. We seem to see sometimes that control can mean looking beyond this world, and that's been going on for thousands upon thousands of years. You look back at the Egyptians and the complexity that they had regarding the process of death. And whatever does or doesn't happen, that process has been, down through time, very important for the people that are left behind, in the same way that science has sought to prevent ageing and death, but has not as yet succeeded. Though who can say whether it will in time? But for the past 5 or 6 months, I have been dancing with death. Not personally, you understand, but second hand. I have been taking this journey that many of you know I have been on, and so have come about as close to death as I'm going to until it's my go. And it has seemed to me as if there is a godlike nature to death, in the sense that I have absolutely no control over it. None. It's been a very peculiar journey, in the sense that I have had to keep shifting my position, do very different things, or have certain expectations which then change. Death has seemed almost mischievous. It's tricked us, it's teased us. But on the other hand, it has also, in this particular instance, been about as kind as it can be. It has taken my mother very gently in its arms, and she has slowly surrendered to it. It is more powerful than any of us. Death. Now, I'm not suggesting it is God, but I think it is our biggest fear. And one of the reasons why we have seen God the way we do, as someone who will save us from our own end, because ultimately it's the one thing we can never know, and it's the one thing that we can never control. Though we can do quite a lot of things with medicine or with care of ourselves to prolong our lives, we cannot prolong them indefinitely. Now, I would say that in fact we're a lot less in control of things than we would like to think we are anyway. As I am often reminded, here we are, these minuscule, infinitesimally small dots glued to a huge lump of rock hurtling through space in several different directions at thousands of miles an hour. Kind of puts the notion of control into context. But I have had to allow death to do what it wants to do. I have just had to do my best in the circumstances. And we don't like to surrender. And we don't like to be out of control. And yet, by doing so, I have been able, and my mother has been able, to see this process in quite a different way, and to be as close to one another, and to tackle it in a realistic way. The hopes that I may have, or she may have, for any continuance or re-meeting don't matter, because we have met now. We have resolved anything that may lie between us. We are at peace with one another. We know we love one another. And I think that that is important. Far more important than wishful thinking or avoidance. So whilst we have tended to use any method that we can to avoid the realities of death, it has more godlike qualities for us in this life in a very tangible way than anything else we're ever going to encounter.